Hello everyone, and welcome to another Source Gaming discussion. I'm your host Tris, and I'm joined by fellow staff member Kody.
Hello.
To discuss, well, Mario. So, basically, this really big rumor came out within the last 24 hours of Nintendo planning to basically re-release all or most of their 3D Marios. This comes from, I believe it comes from Video Games Chronicle, and then has been backed up by Eurogamer, Gematsu, and many other people have come forward actually talking about it in terms of journalists and other websites. So this is a pretty big deal, if true.
Yeah, it really is.
It's wild, too, because I think the last time something to this caliber in regards to Mario really came out, I would say would be when Mario and Rabbids leaked, 6 to 8 months early. You had people talking about it, people with the art from it as their profile pictures and everything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't remember a Mario leak that's been as big as this one, if this one is true.
Yeah, and it's wild. I mean, it covers... let's break this down a bit. So first, let's go over what would be coming in terms of the 3D Marios. So it seems to be Mario Galaxy, seemingly 1 and 2, as well as Mario Sunshine and Mario 64. Now, Some are saying that these would not all come at the same time. I think they said Galaxy would be this year, then Sunshine and 64 would be next year. The specifics behind the release, I think, would be a little hard to talk about, but, I mean, just getting those in general is insane.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Especially, I don't remember the last time Nintendo's really ported... I mean, they did a lot of ports of GameCube games for the Wii era, but I don't remember the last time they really, ported GameCube games. They ported a lot of Wii games to the Wii U and the eShop there, but porting GameCube games, I feel like, is a big step forward in terms of what they are going to be willing to do for other GameCube games, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's big news.
I think the last one I can personally recall was Wind Waker HD. Back in, on the Wii U 2013. That was the first one.
Yeah, and that one was even a more of a remaster than it was just a port or anything like that. So it's crazy. I don't know. I think a lot of this leak says that these are going to be remasters, right?
Yes. So from what I've been seeing with these, they are not going to be remaking the games in the Odyssey engine. For anyone who may be expecting that, that's not what these are meant to be.
Yeah.
These seemingly would be closer to what we saw with the Nintendo's remakes of Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, where it was mostly lighting, textures, music, which doesn't sound like a lot, but truth be told, is actually a lot.
Yeah. Goes a long way to making the games even better than they were before. And these are great games already.
I have a feeling some of them, Galaxy, for example, I think will be a lot more subtle as changes, meaning more lighting, anti-aliasing. But things like Mario Sunshine and especially Mario 64, I think they would definitely not full-on remake those, but I think they would definitely put more effort in making those look more updated.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not sure how far they're going to go for Mario 64. It's got such an iconic look to it already. Making it look too different from how it was before might alienate some people. I feel like maybe they'll update a lot of stuff, but they won't update everything.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add on to that also. I wonder if this rumor has anything to do with a lot of the Mario 64 fan projects being closed down too, because that would make sense why Nintendo was trying to close them down, sort of like with the Metroid 2 remake, how that fan project was closed down, and then they released their Samus Returns game on the 3DS not too long after.
It's definitely worth looking into with that, right? And worth discussing, because they had that kind of trend of shutting things down that might be too close to things that they're currently working on. Now, sure, things that use their IPs too heavily, if it starts to get too much traction, they will still kind of shut it down. But it's definitely interesting how much they've been going into that. And I think that also begs the question of how long have they had these planned and working on these? Because, I mean, so many people were saying, like, back when Mario Odyssey came out, I mean, Odyssey had so many throwbacks to Mario 64, including pretty much just straight up porting certain things from 64.
Yeah.
But even beyond 64 specifically, sure, you had the Mushroom Kingdom and you had a bunch of references there. I mean, there was the whole thing where Odyssey was supposed to have Isle Delfino. A lot of its promotional material shows it on the map, and then it wasn't there.
So strange, yeah.
And then they added the costume. Sure, they're fun little references, but it would definitely be interesting if they were meant to be included and were in there because they were already planning these for, like, after that.
Right, yeah.
But it's definitely, like... This is a big deal, because this... Sure, you know, we've had collections and re-releases of games with Nintendo in the past, you know. Some may say, oh, it's not actually all that big a deal, but what makes this bigger is more or less how they're trying to make this, like, a year of Mario. Because according to the rumor, what was supposed to happen was all of this was supposed to be detailed at a physical event at E3 to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary, while also going into details with Super Nintendo World, which was supposed to or could still be opening this summer, and info on the animated Mario movie.
Right.
So all of that combined, I mean, they're really clearly trying to build like a year of Mario sort of thing. I have absolutely no idea how this will still play out with E3 being quote unquote canceled, even though there's all sorts of digital things still being planned and it's all kind of muddy right now. But
I wonder how far they were planning to go in their... They always do a digital event around the time of E3, it probably a Nintendo Direct again, and I wonder how far they were planning to go with introducing people to the Mario stuff in that, and if it'll still play out the same way. I feel like it probably still is going to happen the same way it was going to before. Even though all E3 has been canceled and everything like that, there probably just won't be a physical event that's happening at E3, obviously. They might have that event at another conference later this year, though. I could see that happening, maybe.
It's definitely curious to how this affects the idea of releases for these, because, as mentioned, there was the rumor claims that the Mario Galaxy game would be releasing sometime before the end of this year, and then 64 and Sunshine next year. Now, that's not all of this, because this also claims we'll be seeing a new installment in the Paper Mario series, playing like the first two games, which lines up with other rumors that have been going around the last few months. And a deluxe version of Super Mario 3D World, which also lines up with things, and also kind of makes sense given its strange yet nice appearance in Super Mario Maker 2.
It makes a lot of sense that these are coming around at this point, because there have been so many rumors about these things separately. Them all coming together in this sort of announcement does make sense.
It's just really curious how if any plans for this are delayed given the current situation with things, or if they still plan to release all these things around when they planned to, because if this is to be believed, Galaxy and the new Paper Mario and 3D World Deluxe are all supposed to be this year, while the rest are next year. And that's a lot of Mario for 1 year. And while that's not a bad thing, that kind of still has to be spaced out, because if they release all of those in like a month or two from each other, that's going to burn everyone out, and I don't think that they would... Well, not that they wouldn't sell well, but I think they would take away the marketing spotlight from each other.
Right. I think they'll probably hold off a lot of the bigger releases until around the holiday season. But I'm guessing they were probably aiming for the middle to the end of the summer already with these, considering what happened in the mini direct that we just had. I feel like they were supposed to come a little later in the year anyway, so I'm not sure how their plans have been affected now, but I feel like they might, if anything, be just delayed maybe another month. I don't think they would delay them much from each other just because of that problem, stealing the spotlight from each other, and also trying to account for the holiday season too, because I think they definitely want to get these games out before then, so a lot of people can pick up Mario games around that time.
Yeah, it's... I think what makes this most difficult, really, to tell is we don't really know what else come, like, the summer and onwards, first-party-wise, they plan to release.
Right.
If we learn, they had plenty of other big first-party plans for the rest of the year, then, I mean, okay, then these would probably be spaced out somewhere in between. But if we learned that their main focus for the year was Mario, and, like, all this, and not much else... I mean, great year to be a Mario fan, but then then it comes into how is this going to be spaced out in releases?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know, especially with the problems going on now. I think that this can't be it. Like, I don't think there is just Mario this year.
Right.
But I'm not sure what else is going to fill the schedule because we just don't know about anything other than Metroid Prime, Zelda, and Bayonetta. Oh, and Travis Strikes Again. But that's not really like a first party.
Yeah.
But usually they've been centering their months around like a big name game, just a big name game that would sell on the Switch for that month. I mean, there can be a lot of other releases, but they usually try and have at least one big title a month. I don't know what kinds of first-party games they're planning to release this year because of the problems now and because of this Mario celebration thing, but I feel like they might do some kind of schedule that is Mario 1 month, Mario and another game 1 month. I don't know. Maybe Paper Mario would take the spotlight for another month.
I definitely think Paper Mario would get its own spotlight because it's a new release as opposed to a re-release or remake or anything like that. It's different. On the other hand, back when Nintendo did New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, I mean, that was their focus for January 2019. They ignored Bowser's Inside Story re-releasing the same day, but they put a ton of marketing attention on New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and that was just a port. So they could choose to center an entire month around like the Galaxy port and whatever else it has, and a 3D World port, especially if what's said with this would the 3D World Deluxe is supposed to have some new levels and such. That might be considered like a really big deal to them, where they put all marketing effort on basically just that for an entire month.
Yeah, they might. It's really hard to tell with them, especially with the fact we don't really know that any other games that are coming out at the end of this year. So I think I really can't tell where they're going to go with this. If they're going to center everything on Mario, or if they're going to bring something else in to balance it. If I had to guess, the only other franchise that could come back we haven't heard about already, as in like Zelda or the other ones we've heard about but haven't seen more of yet, I think the only other franchise that could resurface at this point is maybe Kirby, because Kirby usually Kirby's on like an every 2-year release schedule, it seems like, since the 3DS. But that's really the only one I can think of coming around at this point that we haven't heard about already. It's hard to determine what they're gonna do with that time.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely curious what they're going to do based on other games, but I think there's only so much we can say on that. So, to bring it more directly into Mario itself, there's a lot of games mentioned here. Out of curiosity here, just for fun discussion's sake, which one of these would you be most excited or interested in?
That's tough to say. I actually am a big supporter of Mario 3D World. Like, I really liked that game. Probably out of all of these games, I think that's probably my favorite. Honestly,
wow. Okay.
I might get hate for that, but I love Mario 3D World a lot. I don't think it gets enough love because it's not up to snuff with a lot of other people's 3D Mario favorites, but I really like it for its level design and its a character variety too. I think a lot of additions to that game, especially if they go the route that they went with Captain Toad by adding Odyssey-inspired levels, that might be fun to explore. And I really want to know what kinds of additions they're going to make besides that, if they're going to add any other characters too.
I would love if they added characters. I guess I should also specify, while 3D World isn't my favorite of this bunch, that was basically my favorite game on the Wii U. And I've been waiting for that to get ported. That was such a fun game, and because of the fact that I got to play it in multiplayer, like, that game is best enjoyed with multiplayer, all the antics that go on with that. Yeah. No, it was tons of fun. I would absolutely love if they added just even more levels to it. Just the chance to re-release it and play it with friends. Would love that.
Right.
As long as they don't do what they did with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which is forcing an easy mode. Because they removed one Toad, added Toadette, who's like an easy mode, but not quite as easiest mode as Nabbit, who just can't take damage. Yeah. But when you play with 4 players, you have to use one of them. I really hope they don't do something like that, because what made 3D World so nice in comparison to New Super Mario Bros. Was each character's ability. And while they can totally add more characters and give them unique abilities, I hope they don't in-game classify any of them as easy. Because, sure, Peach is technically the easy mode character in 3D World, while Toad is technically the hard mode character. But they don't shove that in your face, making it feel a bit forced and sort of affecting which character you play.
Right, yeah. I really wonder if they might go the same route and just remove Toad for Toadette.
Oh, no. Look, as long as they keep Rosalina in. So, moving on from 3D World specifically, then. I do want to take a moment to ask, what do you think with the Galaxy games? Because strangely enough, I've been using Galaxy plural because the assumption is that it'll be both Galaxy games, but technically it sounds like we only potentially know of the original Galaxy.
Yeah.
And while it would make more sense to release Galaxy 1, if you can only pick one of them, it would make more sense to release Galaxy 1, not Galaxy 2. But it is weird to have one and not the other at this point.
Yeah, that's really true. I wonder how they're going to actually... if they're going to do one or the other, or if they are going to do both in one collection thing. I don't know. I'm not sure. They could really go either way, but I think if they were going to pick just one, it probably just would be Galaxy 1. It's tough to say.
I definitely think that it would be Galaxy 1 if they only pick one. I think it would indeed make a lot of sense though for them to do like a collection of the two, because I think Galaxy 2 started as an expansion to 1, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. So yeah, it would make sense if they were just going to do a collection.
It'll make a lot of sense for them to release the Galaxy games together, combined in like a sort of collection, because with what the release schedule from this rumor says, with Galaxy games coming this year and then Sunshine and 64 next year, it kind of covers a lot of bases all at once.
Yeah, it really does. I wonder if they're going to what the kinds of price points are going to be for them too. If they're going to be, I'm guessing the Mario 3D World port will probably be the same price as a lot of other Switch games, but the other titles might be cheaper. I don't know.
I would be very surprised if any of these go for much less than full price. Like, sure, Captain Toad goes for, I think, 10 to 20 less than full price, but that's a much smaller game.
Right.
Especially since they're trying to sell these as, like, remasterings or remakes or whatever they end up trying to sell them as. True. I have a feeling they're all going to go for full price. The deal might be that the Galaxy games are bundled, so it's both games for one price, but...
Right.
I don't know there.
Yeah, that might be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that I'm definitely curious about is each of these games, being completely honest, feel very different. Their physics are very different. The way the mechanics play out very different. And I know, as I mentioned earlier, it's not remaking. It doesn't seem like it's remaking these games in Odyssey's engine, meaning they're also all going to play differently than Odyssey. But I'm curious if any of them are going to get like touched up in that fact. You know, are you still going to be able to backwards long jump up the stairs in Mario 64? Are you still going to be able to break the physics on the pachinko level in Mario Sunshine? Like, oh god.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe the only one they could touch up might be Mario Sunshine, because it had a lot of glitches with its physics, but I think they're probably going to keep much of these games intact because they're so iconic for their movement. Yeah, exactly. The movement is one of the most iconic parts of each of these games. That's one of the main points that they're all compared to. Each of them kind of get like compared and analyzed by people so much in terms of how they move. I mean, that was one of the biggest things about Odyssey, of everyone saying this is the best Mario has moved in so long. Right, yeah.
I think it would be jarring if we went back to these games redone and they didn't... and they didn't just leave it the same. It would be neat if they touched them up, but it would be almost jarring to play through these games and it feeling different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think they probably want to keep these intact so all of the people who remember them so fondly will be able to play them the same way and enjoy them the same way. Because if people have gripes with how the movement is, that kind of... that's like one of the main parts of the game and one of the main parts that people will remember. So anybody that wants to pick it up might not get it because of that. If that's a complaint from someone. Yeah,
that can be a make or break deal for a lot of people, for sure. It may sound small to a lot of people, but that is a really big deal to a lot of others.
Yeah, that's right.
So, interesting thing I also just kind of realized. So, Mario 64 was re-released with, or had a remake, so to say, with Mario 64 DS, which added more content. It went from 120 stars to 150 stars. Sure, it added the other characters too, but point is, it had more stars. And obviously, Galaxy 1 and 2 have their full game, and then the Luigi version of Galaxy 1. And Galaxy 2, I think, both games, you get a total of 242 stars, something like that. You get a lot of stars. Yeah. Sunshine is the only one here that never had a re-release or sequel, and only has 120 Shine Sprites.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that'll actually get added content to it at all. Adding anything to it that would up the numbers a bit, because technically it's now the smallest game of these, of this bunch.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I feel like each one is probably going to get a little bit of added content to it. Like in Mario 64, they might add some of the stars that were in Mario 64 DS.
Right.
And in the case of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, they might add stuff, and then Mario 3D World, just by being a port, a deluxe port, is probably going to have added stuff in it, even if it's small too. So I feel like they probably will add stuff to Sunshine too, just because they will be adding things to 3D World, and I think they probably will to the others too.
Okay. Yeah, fair points.
Probably won't be large stuff. It probably might just be a few Shine Sprites, but I think it will have at least a few additions.
Maybe they'll add a Luigi mode.
Oh, that would be nice. I don't know where he was in Mario Sunshine before, but I guess he'll finally be here now.
He was living it up in that new mansion.
Oh, right, that's right.
And then Mario needed a break, so he went on vacation. Oh, man. So, I think for all the 3D Mario games, all the re-releases of kinds, that wraps that up. But we need to talk about this Paper Mario part of it.
Oh, yeah, this is huge.
This is a really big deal. This has been something that's been kind of been rumored for a while, but kind of only talked about by a few people. But now it's getting a lot more traction because it's included in this.
Right.
And that's a Paper Mario series basically returning to form of the Paper Mario on the N64 and Paper Mario 1000 Year Door on the GameCube. Now, that's a massive deal if that's the case, because that's something people have been waiting for ages. And the closest we ever got was... I don't remember who did it. I think it was the Game Explain guys. They did an interview with the creators of... I think it was when Color Splash came out.
That's right. Yep.
And it was when Color Splash came out, and they asked if it would be any chance of a return to form, and they said, "Oh, well, if people want it, but otherwise, there's the Mario and Luigi series, which
isn't really happening." I think I remember that interview, and it was done by Game Explain, and I remember the I think it was the director of who they were talking to said that. The reason why Color Splash was the way it was because they started development on it like immediately after Sticker Star. Yeah. So they didn't have like any time to really react to the different reactions that were coming out by people who really did not like Sticker Star.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling they actually will go through with making this game up to snuff with the older Paper Mario games, because Color Splash really did have a lot of love and it had a lot of heart put into it.
It really did.
But it just wasn't a great... like, the gameplay was a big problem of it. Like, it had great dialogue, it was funny, it had really cool looking graphics with the paper aesthetic, but it needed to be an old Paper Mario game.
Yeah.
That would have benefited it so much with that older gameplay, because it seemed like it was trying to walk this line between the old and the new Paper Mario, and it just did not do it right, in my opinion. But
it was a good Paper Mario game, but not a Paper Mario game.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at Paper Mario, because so many people were feeling that if they were ever going to attempt a return to form, it would be in the sense of a remake or remaster of one of the original two to kind of test that, to see if it would sell. But from the sounds of it, they're jumping straight into a new installment returning to form, which is kind of surprising. But it makes me wonder how long it's been in development for then.
I'm thinking it's probably been in development not long after Color Splash's development ended. I think they did. I think they really have been receptive to the comments that they've been getting. I'm guessing they have been, because it seems like during that interview, like, the person they were interviewing kind of realized, like, that was kind of the consensus. But they didn't say it outright. I don't know. That's just the vibe I got from it, at least. But I think they were probably receptive to the comments that people had about Color Splash and Sticker Star, and they probably did go in a different direction with it. And that's probably why Paper Mario looks the way it is, hopefully, if this rumor is true.
Well, hopefully we don't have to wait too long for the Paper Mario one, because even from earlier reports of people trying to leak it, and including this one, it seems, it's this year, it sounds. And, Paper Mario doesn't personally strike me as a title that can sell as their big holiday game. Not that it's not big, but I think, especially after recent entries, people are going to be really wary of it. I can see this releasing, like, September, but I don't know if it'll release much after that.
I'm thinking September, October at the latest, maybe August if they were going to push it as their late summer release.
Yeah.
I'm think it will probably have to do with the other Mario games that are going to be releasing too.
Yeah, exactly. And as much as I want to like really speculate all hell on what we could see at Paper Mario, there's only so much that can be said outside of like, oh, what if they remade or just literally lifted the stuff from the older games? Well, can't.
Yeah.
Obviously, the hope there is just that it's something new that really does the series the justice it's been needing for years.
Yeah, I think I have faith in the Paper Mario developers, even though a lot of people probably have lost faith in them.
Right.
I do think their heart's in the right place, so I think we are going to get a good game out of this if it's true.
Yeah, I have to agree there. So now my main question is, despite how much all this is this it for Mario in terms of what we'll be seeing? Like, is this just all they got from this report, or is this actually all the Mario releases we'll know of for, I don't know, the next year or so? Or are they gonna toss, like, I don't know, a new Mario Kart in there, a new Mario Party? Are they gonna a new Mario Sports? Is there even more, and these are just the big attention grabbers because they're bigger series and those are just spin-offs? Or what do you think?
I wonder if the reason why they've been holding off on doing anything for Odyssey is because they were waiting for this time to do it. Maybe at this point they will release some kind of Odyssey DLC, but it is really late at this point too. If anything, maybe there could be a teaser for a follow-up to Odyssey. But other than that, I think maybe there could be something having to do with the 2D Mario games, if anything.
Okay.
But
maybe an update to Mario Maker.
Yeah, something with Mario Maker would probably make the most sense, since I think that still has that one block of nothingness next to 3D World in it that looks like it could be used for something. But I don't know if there's still hope for that at this point. It's almost a year since it was released, but I mean, a year anniversary thing with an update might be fun.
Yeah, we'll have to
I don't
see.
know. Yeah, other than that, maybe I think the only other thing that's even closely related to Mario that could get anything new, since we got Luigi's Mansion last year, it's the only like other Mario thing I can think of. It's probably like a Wario thing. But I don't think that would really. I don't know if they'd really tie that in with the whole Mario theme or not. But it would. I mean, they could probably tie it in some funny way somehow if they were to release something like that around this time. But that's the only other thing I can think of besides those.
The only way I could see that making that connection is if they also announce a remake or re-release of Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins.
Yeah. And I could see them updating Mario Maker to have some elements of that in it, maybe. And they could tie it into that somehow, but that's really the only other thing I could see tying into it too, yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting to look at all this too, because outside of Paper Mario, everything mentioned here is like big mainline Mario game. And the Paper Mario games are technically spin-offs, but they're still big games.
Yeah.
So, while, I, the Mario Party guy, am still waiting on Super Mario Party 2, it's entirely possible we'll see like other Mario spin-offs announced this year as well, but I think they wouldn't be part of this kind of spotlight focus this all seems to be getting.
Yeah, it might not be. I just thought of another thing that they haven't made another game of on the Switch that's Mario related. Mario Golf.
Yes.
That's the only other thing I think.
I mean, we don't know what the Mario Tennis team has been up to since that game finished. That game released nearly 2 years ago. And
that's true too, yeah.
Finished on its 1 year anniversary, and even then, I doubt the whole team was working on it for the year of post-release updates it got.
Yeah.
Mario Golf would be very, very nice to see. But, all right.
We'll see.
Do you have any final thoughts on all this? outside of like, woo, yay Mario. It's after Mario Day, but yay Mario.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Mario fan, but I would still be excited to see all of these games get remastered and re-released because they're just so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It really neat to see them in what forms they take.
Right. Well, I'm very much looking forward to whatever they end up putting out with this. I hope we learn about this soon, ideally before E3 stuff, because I think if this now cluttered up their entire E3 presence, it might get a little daunting then. But we'll have to see. All right, so with that'll wrap up this discussion. So thank you all for watching. If you like this video, you can make sure to follow us on social media, and if you'd like to support Source Gaming, you can donate to our Patreon, links to all of which are down in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to Source Gaming for more, and always remember to return to the source.